I often like to express really deeply for people who have chosen this path. There's one thing to have a desire, and then there's another to chase it and to actually execute it, and then to stay with it. I know you've been on this journey for a while, so I thank people, I thank artists for just their, just your drive.
Oh,
So
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it's, even today, coming back to it, because I took a little bit of a break,
Yes.
you come back to it just however your career looks, it's going to be different from when you started, but because you love it. And the only reason I'm still going is because I love the art and or the act, should I say, of making music, of
Right.
creating songs,
Right.
of performing. Um, and without that, without the actual true love of it, it's not worth it.
Right.
Like it really isn't.
Huh.
And I've gone through the business side, the industry, hoopla, all of that stuff
Right.
that they kind of finesse you into believing you need
Uh-huh.
that. And to an extent, like if you decide you want to be a world superstar, like yes, you're going to need the major label
Right.
machine. Like
Right.
it's just inevitable. But if you just want to make a living as an artist, like there are other ways to do that. And I think understanding that allows you to be able to continue on in a more kind of hopeful manner.
Wow. So there's so much honesty in what you've just said. And I know from my experience that two things or three things or four things could exist at the same time. I think what I find interesting for in all of the places I've listened to you speak and speak honestly about the industry this way, I find it really refreshing that you're able to love it and also be honest about how challenging it could be at times when you're trying to chase it.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, maybe I'm just wired differently, but
Right.
and maybe it's also the way I grew up, but I was never taught to suck up to anyone to get what I want, right?
Right.
Like, and I felt like when I first was introduced to the industry and like the way that stuff works, it's all about who you know and what they can do for you and what you can do for them. And like, that just felt so greasy to me,
Right.
and I'm just like, I don't operate like that. So a lot of it, like the golden eyelids like flew off and I was like, oh, or the rosy colored glasses,
Right.
and I'm just like, this is just normal real people
Right.
who don't know what they're doing.
Have you seen?
so we're good, like, it's just, yeah.
As you said that, I recall the Barack Obama video that went viral. I don't know if you've seen it, but he was talking about the same stuff about, said once you get into certain rooms and sit at certain tables, it becomes rather obvious really quickly
Yeah.
that, hey, these guys aren't all that.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, him?
That
Like
guy-
that guy is in charge of that, like, yeah, like you get in the rooms and you're just like, huh? And I think also like there's a misconception, or not, it's not even a misconception, it's like they make you believe that the artists, you need a manager and you need an agent, and they're somehow on top, like in the pyramid of authority,
Right.
they're above the artist, when in
Right.
fact it's the artist who's in charge, and they hire these people to help them fulfill their dreams or
Right,
their
right,
plans,
right.
right? And so we're taught like you start as an artist and you're chasing and you want a manager and you want an agent, and you feel like this desperation of like, if I don't get these things,
Right, right, right.
I'm not successful. But it's such a backwards mindset where it's like, no, you're the CEO. So who do you want to work for you, and who's going to come on board that will champion you, out there and speak your name when you're not in those rooms. And I think when you look at it that way, it becomes less of a desperation thing and more of a strategic alliance amongst like people. Like, if you're a manager, I'm like, I like what you did with that artist. Is there, can we align?
Right.
As opposed to like going up and be like, I want you to work with me, please,
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
Beyonce's manager is never gonna, unless they find like, like artists that they really love. But a lot of the top managers don't have time to develop under,
Right.
up and coming ones. So it was just understanding that and trying. to teach the younger ones, you know?
Right.
Like, I'm always like, you guys, you don't need a manager. You just need to build yourself. Like, you know, and then they will come. Like, trust me, they'll come.
Right.
But you got to build.
And that evolution has only happened, let's say, in the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Though. So if we were to circle back what we were talking about before the camera started rolling about technology and the place it has played in, you know, the advancement of things, that template goes back to the 20s, the 30s, about how the music industry was structured. And you look at those deals back in the day and you're like, how was this even legal?
Yeah.
That an artist would work so hard and not own their masters, not own publishing rights, not own, and they get like 20 cents. Anyways, but now technology has brought us to this place where it's doable to say, you know, even if it's a grind, but it's doable, that you don't need to get attached to certain establishments and sell, you know, basically sell your rights away.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think, like, part of it, too, like, that part of, like, the artist giving away your rights. Like, I retain all my rights,
Right.
but it's still such... I don't know. I'm trying not to swear.
We'll bleep it out.
It's still, like, such a mess to the mind where, like, I put out a record in 2022... and I had the biggest budget behind it. I had so much funding. Like, I was like, this is it. I'm going to, you know, leverage all this money that I got to put behind this album, and it's going to do amazing. And I paid people. Like, I had PR in France and England and Canada. I had music videos for, like, 3-4 singles. Like, I did it all.
Right.
And the album did nothing. And I was like, and at the end of it, everybody got paid except me. Right? And so I just left that experience like, this is so backwards. Like, it is so backwards. And I understand, like, funding, like, it isn't to line the pockets of artists because it's public funding and it's to make your projects and all that stuff. But at some point, there has to be a way for the artist also to be able to make a living while they're making these projects.
Right.
And that kind of led me to, like, just piecing out. I was like, I need a break.
Yeah, it's like, piss out.
Yeah, I was just like, gonna go to a beach somewhere. Like, it was too much. And so, like, that still happens where the artist, and again, it goes back, that structures a business structure. You're the CEO. Like, you want to make all these things happen. You will be the last one paid, you know, like, just as a small business owner. So it was definitely a learning experience, and just trying to find different ways that you're not continually going broke to do the thing that you love. And I don't know, it's hard.
Yeah, it's so I think that's a good segue to get into, like, my first block of questions. About that project you made and the hiatus you took. So you've described NU2U, and I want you to, I kind of get a sense of what NU2U means, but I want you to touch upon that. But you've described it as a creative rebirth. So what had to die? What did you have to let go for this version of yourself to exist?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, I think it was the whole pandering to the industry. Had to just like that notion of, like, I still wanted to be in the mix of, like, what's happening. I wanted to be talked about. I wanted to be known in the industry, as opposed to, like, building a community of people who love my music.
Right.
If I would have focused as much, I think if I would have taken as much focus on building within the industry and the accolades and all that stuff to, like, actually building community, it probably would have helped me a lot more. And then it was just the kind of pandering to what they think I need to be doing. I've had a lot of advice over the years, and all of it ends up with, well, we still don't know what to do with you. We don't know how to promote this kind of music in Canada, blah, blah, blah. And so just it kind of just forced me within the break to, like, go back to the roots of why I started and how I started.
Right.
And that was myself with my piano and guitar writing music.
Right.
And that's how the record came to be, because I was like, I'm just going to do this myself. What comes of it, comes of it. And if it's good, then maybe, maybe there's something to put out. If it's not good, then at least I just got out what I had to say.
Right.
And so it was just that process of releasing any external expectations that I think I was chasing for the first 4 albums,
Wow. So that's so 4 albums in. What would you say? Why did it take that long? Was it a hard thing to let go when you eventually did? Because I would expect that you had a vision of what all of this would be, and letting that go, was that a difficult process?
Yeah, but I think also just the timing of it with the world stopping and COVID and all that stuff, it kind of forced me to stop and slow down, because I think if that didn't happen, I probably would have just kept, I have to put out an album, I have to tour, I have to do this, I have to put out another album. But the pause really made me think, do I even like this anymore?
Right.
I didn't have a choice. I had to just sit in it and try to think, is this for me? I've been doing it at that point 10 years now. That's a long time to be doing anything. And, I've achieved certain milestones, and yeah, I wasn't a superstar, but I don't think I ever wanted to be a superstar. Everyone's like, oh, you want to be an artist? Are you going to be like Beyonce? It's well, no, because that's Beyonce. I'm tired just looking at what she no. And so, being really honest, what kind of career do I want? And just deciding if that's still worth pursuing at that point. And
right.
Yeah, it was kind of a forceful reflection. Do you want this, or are you done? And it's okay to be done.
Right.
And I think the okay part was hard, because as a Capricorn, I'm I gotta, I had a plan.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to feel like I was failing.
Right.
And I failed, and I just quit. But it was no, it's okay. You can pivot, do something else, find something that you like. At that point, I didn't even know what are my hobbies? I don't know. Music,
that's all you've ever done.
That's all. It was such a large part of my life
and your identity, I should say.
Yeah. So it's been nice to just do it because I love it and not force anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. Last night I had a show. It wasn't even a show. It was a feature, and it was a jazz trio, and they interpreted my songs.
Okay.
But I was this is so weird, because I'm used to big wall of sound, tracks, all the elements of the songs live, and it was guitar, bass, and drums, and it was the funnest. I had 2 songs in, I was man, I need to do it like this.
Oh, wow.
I need to strip it back. This is, you get the essence of the songs, right?
Right.
And there was it wasn't perfect, but it was just the freedom and flexibility of just the jam was cool.
Yes.
And terrifying at the same time.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what is NU2U? The acronym, or...
Yeah, titles are always a funny thing. And I think with the last one, it was self-titled, because I was this is me entirely, right? This is who I am. This is going to be my biggest work. And I'm still chasing my defining album, and I thought that was it. And then when it didn't happen, I was oh my gosh, well, I can't do this as my self-titled. I can't do Nuela Charles #2. That's lame.
You could say volume 2.
Yeah, I could. But it was such a departure too. And so for me, a lot coming back, I don't expect a lot. I don't expect people to remember me. I don't expect people to, any of that. I'm just grateful for whoever listens. And so NU2U was a play on my name, but also this is probably going to be new to you as, musically as an artist. Probably never heard of me, but this is me. And, I just thought it looked cool when I wrote it I did, right?
It is really
so,
cool.
Yeah.
It is really cool.
So it's a double meaning, but it's also new to me. Just the way that I approached this album was different. And I just took a lot more ownership over the entire process, which was really, really nice. But, yeah.
Right. Okay. A few questions there, because I went on Spotify and I looked at what you. There was a bit there that was informal in your introduction about this. I think this philosophy of gratitude, and you said, I'm paraphrasing here, but you didn't think that you you would be able to call music your life, and that you were grateful that you get to do this and stuff like that. I want to get a sense of where that comes from, because one would consider you like you're you've been in the game for a while. If at this point you're still having that humility and gratitude that people still listening to you, I just want to get a sense of where that comes from.
God, like I don't know. Like I think it's just understanding why I'm on Earth and
Right.
like my own spirituality, but then recognizing that everybody has 24 hours in a day, and if you choose to spend 20 minutes of that listening to my album, like that's cool.
Right.
Like I have, I don't know everyone who listens to my stuff, but I have analytics.
Right.
There's people in Japan Shazamming my songs.
Right.
I don't know how that stuff's being played over there, but when you're Shazamming it, it's like, oh, you want to know what, you're intentionally trying to figure out what the song is. And that blows my mind.
Right.
And that's just like, if you don't have gratitude in that moment, I don't know. I think you're just like floating through this world entitled. I don't know. Like, I just, with everything, like there's, for me, there's always gratitude because you could be doing anything else, and I'm not, I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't think I deserve more than anyone. I work hard and hopefully that rewards me.
Right.
My hard work rewards me, but I don't think I deserve something just because I put it out.
Right.
And there's a lot of artists that I've met throughout the years where they're like, I've been working for 2 years straight and I put out this album and nothing's happening. And I'm like, man, some people go 10 years and then they blow up. You can't just think because you've been doing this
Right.
for a little bit, you deserve the world.
Right.
Like, it doesn't work like that. And so I think with everything, I approach it like, is this right for me? Yes. Do I love this? Yes. Then I'm just grateful I get to do it.
Sweet. So, what does freedom look like to you now, post that process where you had to, ditch industry expectations? When you think about yourself as an artist, what does freedom look like to you?
I think it's just like being in control of my own timeline now and not, there are certain, it's not like it's forced upon you, but there are cycles that you, within the industry, if you want to like pander to them, it's like deadlines that you could meet, festival runs and grant deadlines. They're all intertwined a little bit. And so like you could definitely focus your attention on that and meeting certain metrics to like grow. But right now it's just about the freedom of my timeline. Like this nomination came out of nowhere and now I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just put on a show in Edmonton to celebrate. Because I haven't played in forever, so why not?
Right.
Like there's no pressure to appease agents, managers, labels, whatever. It's just like, how can I organically grow this thing and spread the music and still feel good about myself,
Right.
and not be burnt out at the end of it.
Yeah, that burning out.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's real.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chasing the cycles could be hard. I talk to artists all the time, and that's kind of, that's a tough patch. What do you do with? So let's say you've been fairly successful, but oftentimes when I talk to independent artists, you put out a record or an EP and stuff, and you're on to the next one. I've often wondered, what do you do with your back catalog? Like, what happens to really incredible music that, because someone didn't listen or because it didn't get as much traction as you wanted, you can't hold on to it for forever. You have to create a new project. What happens to your old catalog, like your body of work?
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. I think for me, I've been fortunate because I've had a lot of my music in film and television. And so I've been really intentional about making that back catalog work for me. And even now I'm in the process of signing on with a new sync company to work those old songs because they fit well in like film and TV shows and all that stuff. And for it just to sit there, I know I don't have time to pitch. So if I'm giving away a percentage of whatever comes in, that's worth it to me to have that stuff actively worked, you know? And a lot of people don't think that that is available to them as an option. Some might be like, that's selling out. But in today's world, it's like, no, that's just another way of marketing your music and getting it out there. You know, I can think of Lizzo, her placement in that Netflix show, for me, blew her up, you know? And so it was just such a perfect, for that was timing and everything that kind of helped her get to that next level in her career. But yeah, you got to work it. And I think social media also is a weird kind of world where they expect you to, you know, every new song, you got to 50, 100 videos, like tease it. Oh, it didn't blow up. Tease the next one. The next one. Where it's like, you could totally just like start working your old songs, incorporate those in, you know, and maybe something will stick because that's not dead, you know? And even I saw a stat and it was the most listened to music is old catalog now, you know? And I can say for myself too, I don't really it's not that I don't want to, but I'm not really looking for new artists anymore. I'm going back to the stuff I love to listen to. You know, and those are the classic records that I grew up with that I'm like, this is music. Because now some of the stuff today, I'm just like, I don't even know what you're saying. You know, it's like, I don't know this man. Some of it, I'm just like, wow.
It's going to get, I shouldn't say worse, but it's going to get a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Because I have stumbled into some playlists on Spotify. It's just all AI. And as soon as you hear it, you know it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on.
Yeah. But the worst is, like, I was driving and I was listening to Olivia Dean's new record. And then it ended and then it started playing like songs, right? The songs that sound like this that you might love. And the first time I was like, wow, this is so good. Like, what is this? The second song I was like, this is amazing. And then I'm always the one to go straight to their Spotify playlist or profile.
And it just breaks your heart.
What are you telling me? This is a fake artist. One of them was like this white lady running through a field of like tall grass and flowers. It was actually a real looking photo. The second photo was of this black soul singer. Totally fake. Like, they didn't even try to make a real photo. And I was like, what is this? And then you go to the Instagram and I'm just blown. Like, this is not fair.
No.
And they have millions of streams.
Of course.
That's like a couple thousand a month when you're thinking of distribution, you know?
And that's going to someone that's not even remotely part of the industry or cares about...
No, just some guy in his basement.
just
like, let's create a soul singer, like, you know?
In 2 seconds.
Yeah. But I will say, like, there were some... Like, those ones were very well written. There are some AI songs that I can tell are AI, and like lyrically and just the way it's phrased and sung, it's still a bad song. Like, I can tell. So you really have to, when you use these tools, in my mind, still be good at the craft to develop really great results.
For sure.
Because you're prompting the machine. And a lot of times you can put in the lyrics and stuff yourself, and so... You can't just say, make me a hit, because it's gonna give you whatever. But yeah, it's so fascinating. It's just...
I think we're gonna touch a lot on technology today, but I wanna go back to this project here and the apartment sessions and your father. I read all of that and I found that so fascinating. It's something powerful about recording vocals under blankets in your apartment. What did that environment allow you to access emotionally?
Yeah, I always felt like I had an issue in studio delivering kind of what I had in my head.
Mm.
Because I just was thinking of, oh, the engineer is going to hear this. If I mess up the line, like, this is time, money I'm paying for by the hour. Like, so I was like, let's just get a clean take. And it always was good, but it was also just very kind of like straight,
Right.
kind of boring. Not really, I was trying to get emotion, but there wasn't a lot of it in it. And it was just trying and just like, okay, I'm good. Like, let's move on. Whereas at home, where it's just me, I was like, oh, I can make so many mistakes. Like, my demos, like when I'm writing, the melody is like 10 keys off. Like, it's not even like listenable, right? I know what I'm trying to do, but I'm just trying to get the words out and just like the phrasing and like trying to figure it out. So it really allows me to play and experiment.
Right.
And then when I'm comfortable with what I've done, it's like, okay, now I can try to put the emotion in. And I can take as long as I want. Sometimes I'll do it 10, 15 minutes, be like, okay, I'm done for the day, and I'll move on to something else or come back the next day. You know, there's just more freedom because that's not, this is paying $150 an hour. Like, let's go. Like, I'm paying for all these people. Like, I don't got the money. Like, so that's kind of, you know, and yes, you should try to remove that thinking, but I'm so like in my head all the time about that stuff where it just hindered me, I think. Whereas at home, it was just free.
Right.
I could do whatever.
Right.
You know, like it was just so cool. And I think a lot of, I think my best stuff is on this record, honestly. And it's just like you can hear me finally. And I think it was, again, going back to how I started. In my room, bedroom, no one's heard these songs. I'm just writing because I want to get these feelings out. And there was no pressure behind it, you know? And I think that's something I want to keep doing as I continue on, is really just start at home, write the songs, the demos as far as I can get them, and then bring someone in to help me finesse.
And that, so I understand that the makeshift booth with your father, like what did that process mean to you to have that happen?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, he loved it, well, probably more than I did. Like, he was like, let's go, let's measuring tape and all this stuff. And like, it was great. Like, it was shoddy. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had.
Do you have pictures of this
no
contraption you guys put together?
I have videos somewhere.
Okay.
Because I know I was recording when I was doing choir bits.
Okay.
So I would just layer myself on top of myself of myself. So I have video of it, but like these panels and stuff were just falling down like while I'm singing. I was like, well, there goes that one. Like, it was just so random. But it worked because like my biggest concern also was like not, you know, messing with my neighbors. You know, it was like trying not to get them mad. But so I was like, can we isolate it so when I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, they're not going to yell at me? But yeah, it was really nice. Like he loved being a part of it and trying to help in his way. But
is this the first project that you guys have been like in that kind of close proximity when you were making it? Has he been helped with any your other projects?
Yeah, I mean, he tries. I think for me, it's like I'd rather just not. You know, it comes down to like too many cooks in the kitchen, too many opinions.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you're not musical, so
Right.
let me just do it.
Let me just do my thing.
Yeah, thank you, Dad. Love you. But yeah, no, like they support how they can. But again, it's such a weird industry to be in. Like they don't understand. You know, he'll be like, well, why don't you just pull your stuff from Spotify? You know, take a stand, you know, against the machine. I'm like, me pulling my stuff will have zero effect.
On the machine.
Yeah, like they would keep going. But you need a Taylor Swift, you need a, you know, Harry Styles, you need the big artists to pull their catalog for the industry to be like, oh, maybe we should pay artists more, you know? But it's the labels who run everything. So, you know, I've been trying to make him understand, like, that's not how it works, Dad. It's not that easy. So, yeah, he tries. So
I know you've said this is like going back to when you started, but whilst you were making this project, did was it any terrifying that you had gone from, most of the big setups that you've become accustomed to like this more stripped down? Was there any vulnerability in that process for you?
No, not really. I think if anything, it allowed me to be more vulnerable
Okay.
in the process of making it. But I think the ego part kind of left a long time ago.
Hmm.
Like I've been in so many sessions, and like I have friends who've been in rooms with major stars. Like I went on tour with a friend with like Black Sabbath, and like
Hmm.
in those rooms you just realize these are just regular,
Okay.
degular people.
Vehicle.
And so that ego part left a long time ago because I've been in the rooms. I've been amongst the stars or
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
And so it's just like we all eat, right? Like the water is the same. You might have a lot more money, but like, are you happier? Probably not. So it's just like whatever, dude,
Oh,
you
my
know.
word.
And not everyone has the like that mindset and that worldview, but like I think that's the biggest gift I think my parents could have given me, having traveled so much,
Right.
is seeing how other people live in other parts of the world and recognizing that like you're just lucky to be where you are, like be grateful with what you have. And so that's kind of been my whole ethos throughout, is like do it yourself, work hard. If people want to come on board that support you, great.
Mm-hmm.
But like once you have an ego, you've lost.
Sure.
And I just think I carry that with me.
Yeah, you've got some very grounded philosophy. I'd love to circle back to that at some point. How would NU2U sound if it was produced in a major studio? Can you envision like if this project was had all the producers and all the people, the engineers, and
Probably a lot more pop and a lot more crisp, if that's a like just cleaner in the sense of like the organicness of it has left the building. And like we use some electronic elements and stuff, but I think that rawness still remained, and that essence of my demos is still there.
right?
Because we kept a lot of the stuff that I did in there. And so I think when it comes to working with other producers and other songwriters, you're dealing with their egos and with their, like, well, this idea is the best because it's my idea. Whereas they're not all of them are like this, but I've worked with a lot where it's about their ideas getting to the final stage as opposed to just serving the artist.
Right.
And when I go into co-writing sessions for other artists, I'm always thinking, what do they want? Like, what does the artist want in this situation?
Right.
And that gets lost sometimes. And so I think it would have been a lot more crisper, probably a lot more chasing whatever trend was out there. And lyrically, probably a lot more, I don't know, generic.
Yeah. So there's a drum sample that makes a feature on this project. It's like a grungy type stuff that I in fact that's like what hit me when I started listening to her. And like I know that it's from a certain period in time, but yeah, to your point, there's a certain type of just very raw type production value to it. Which brings me to this question as to what inspired most of that sound that you guys tried to capture in this album. That drum. Do you know the drum I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
It's yeah.
That's my producer, Matt.
Okay.
Because my drums were not as good.
Okay.
My demos were
No, but if you know the drum, then you would, that's good.
So like my demos were full songs, but just to get the idea down.
Right.
And when it comes to production, I tend to just like, I need just to get the idea down. I can't spend time trying to find the right drum sound. I can't, like, that's just a waste of time for me. I need
Right.
the idea. I need the lyric. I need to just get it down, especially when I'm in a flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take it and I'm like, this is what it should sound like.
Right.
Make it better.
Right.
And then he kind of gets the idea of where I'm going, and like hearing all the songs, he's like, okay, I got it. And then he'll kind of will stick with kind of the in the same world, you know,
Right.
as the drum. Like if we work on the first song and it's like that drum sound, we'll
Yeah.
try to keep it,
Yeah, because
you know, throughout.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is really cool. It reminded me of it shows up. It wasn't like an. Do you know Amory?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In her, I think it was a sophomore or maybe her debut album. That drum featured a lot, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
just it was just sounded really familiar.
Yeah.
And it was like cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
No, he's great.
Okay, so you explore heartbreak and ambition on this record. Do those two forces coexist in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of pull from history and then people around me and their experiences.
Right.
My life is less dramatic, honestly. I don't do the drama.
So,
So-
so are we saying ego is not autobiographical?
No, ego is, yes. But years ago, right?
Okay.
And so it's like I'm writing, like, oh, what should I write about? It's like, oh, what about that situation that happened? It's like, oh, yes. You know, so like it does pull, but then I also try to make it kind of more universal so it's not totally pointing at the same person.
Right.
But yeah, like I live such a chill life that I'm like, man, what am I supposed to write about? Like,
Let's fool.
you know, like you have like Adele, like every year is a heartbreak and all this stuff, and I'm just like, God. So I'm like, okay, go back. What happened back then? You know,
Yeah.
I'm older now. I'm able to reflect on the situation and kind of make it less angry, you know. Whereas I think if I would have written those songs back then, they would be very angsty and like, I hate you and you did this to me and blah, blah, blah. But now I can write songs like Known Better, where it's like, I should have known better in that situation. Like, that was me. Like, yeah, you did your thing, but like, man, I just should have known, you know? So it has that kind of more adult reflection and the ability to say like, okay, yeah, those things happen, but I'm not bitter. I'm just, you know, I'm moving on. But yeah, it's an interesting lens to have, especially when, you know, I started so late in music. I started when I was 27. So I already was past like that kind of like, you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you. And it's going to be, you know, like I'm going to write a love song and then you're going to hear it on the radio.
Well, I did notice
Yeah.
that, and I've noticed that in all your projects. That I think this also, you know, dovetails into this whole idea about your philosophy and your ethos. Because even with the opener, the album opener, History, you're listening to it, but it has all of those incredible nuggets of wisdom and just advice, life advice about, you know, and you've touched upon spirituality here and you touched upon how you were raised, but I'm interested because this is the theme that cuts through the entire album. So a song could be talking about a really heavy theme, but even in that spot, you're finding a way to give advice and let people know that, you know, they got it and they're going to be good, they're going to be okay. Yeah. How has that shaped how you write and your music and your lyrics? Like, why does that keep showing up?
I don't know. Like, I think, I mean, so this is like not musical related at all, but I remember we lived in the Bahamas for a little bit, and back then, MSN Messenger had just come out,
Right.
ICQ, like the ability to chat with your friends and have statuses and all this stuff. And I had a really emo status. It was like, oh, I hate my life, or like, I'm so sad today, or just alluding to something being really down and that I was like going through it at like 15, you know. But one of my friends read the thing, my status, and called me. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" Like, "I'm fine." She's like, "Well, your status sounds like you're crashing out, like you're about to do something not right, you know." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that those things had such an effect." And so I think that has stuck with me to this day, that it's just like anything I put out into the world, I don't want it to have such an effect that will cause someone else harm or like to spiral. Or I don't, if I write a sad song, there's always going to be hope in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it just to be sad to be sad, because there's enough sadness in this world. There's enough darkness. There's enough like hate. So if it is like a I'm bitter kind of moment, it's like, yeah, I'm bitter, but I should have known. Like there's always a lesson in it. Or yeah, I'm sad right now, but it's going to get better. Like this happened, but we live, we learn. You know, so I think that's what I've carried mostly is there's always the positive in situations, even if it looks real dark, there's always that light at the end of the tunnel, and just how to frame that in a song without being super cheesy. Right? But I think that moment was just like, oh, my words have power. I need to watch what I write or say or put out there, like, because, you know, they have consequences.
Right.
And so that was crazy to me. But yeah, I think that's probably why.
Yeah. Let's maybe just stay here a little bit and talk about the lyrics of the album, of the EP. So there's history, there's ego, there is name, which I think is my kind of favorite song right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the second verse and just going into like the bridge and all of that gets into this. I hope I'm not switching this with another song, but there's like a bossa nova type feel. I'm like, where did that come?
The horn.
I'm like, hey. I'm like,
You're like, what is she on? What is happening?
I'm like, hey. I'm like, I have to check him. Okay, it's the same song, but yeah, just maybe just run us through, because you have spoken very highly of this project as it being your best work yet, but run us through the lyrics, and if there's a theme tying this project together, what would you say it is?
Probably just like authenticity, you know, like each song kind of could be its own little world. But I think sonically they all kind of tie together because it's me. Like it's the center focal is just my life and like my stories and kind of what I went through. With Name, that was a fun one because like I just started it with the guitar loop and then kind of was like, wouldn't it be funny if I wrote a song about my friend who I, you know, had a thing for, but he never knew all these years and we're still friends, and how he's going to hear this on the radio. Like, that's going to be really funny. And like ego, same thing. Like, you know, like this is about people that I still know that, you know, back when I was younger, we had things, and it was just like they never knew. Like a lot of the songs are written about people and they'll never know.
Right.
And I don't know if I feel like I'll have one of my guy friends will call me like, I just heard your song on the radio. It was so good. This is your best one yet. And in my head, I'm like, it's about you. But I feel like once I get to at least 60, I could be like, okay. So I have to confess, you know, we've lived a long life knowing each other, but all of these were...
From all of this album that spans...
All of this. I had nothing else to write about, so I chose that 1 year of my life and just all of it.
So I've often heard artists say that you're trying to say the same thing in multiple ways. Does that happen to you, that you have a thought and it could present its way in this particular project, but when it gets to the next project, you figure out, okay, I kind of have a better way of saying this. It could be the same thing, but you're exploring it differently. Do you find yourself getting into that phase when you're writing, or when you look at your body of work, you say, oh, I said this stuff 2 albums ago?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's also you've lived more life now, so you have more perspective, or a different perspective. And so that same situation with that same person now feels differently, and I look at it differently, so I have a different perspective, and so the song's different. Right? But I could literally go back and be like, that song, that third one, the fourth one, they're all about the same person.
Right.
but they're all going to have different perspectives and different themes around them because I've lived more life and I've been able to look at it back differently.
Right.
You know, the first one probably a lot bitter. You know, the second one be like, it was like my fault, so like whatever. You live and you learn. The third one's like, I'm grateful for that experience. And the fourth one's like, we live.
Right.
C'est la vie.
Right.
You know, like
it's like the stages of grief.
Yeah, and I think it's just like the way you process stuff, and like I said, my life is so not dramatic, so I have to pull from things that have happened. I think because those things happened, I choose to live a non-dramatic life. You know, whereas like I have people who thrive in the drama. I'm like, that's exhausting, you know? Like, yeah, it makes for great art sometimes, but at what cost? Like your mental health? Like, nah. So, it's interesting. And I think the last song on the EP called
Bold,
it's really like a reflection of like, you know, the line is, you know, I'm leaving here and I want to leave here with something, but like leave something to the world. Like I want to make my mark on it and just make a statement and like feel like I've given my all and served my purpose. And I think that's really, you know, poignant, and I think we all thrive to do something or, you know, make our mark in a way or another, but writing it down was like, oh, that's cool. But then I was always like, you know, the joke is, you know, I'm gonna leave here with something. You know, there's like that Denzel Washington quote where it's like, I'm going out to bar, I'm gonna leave here with something. So I was like, that's cool. Like, you know, a little play on that. But yeah, I think it just, you know, overall it just spans a breadth of emotions, and I think it's just authentically what I was feeling in that moment and what I wanted to get out.
Yeah, and there's some songs in there. I think you guys were just having a blast, or you were having a blast when you were writing it. The first song, I have a 5-year-old, and when history opens up all of those nursery rhymes, and like we do this in the car like every day. I Spy with My Little Eye, and I think, you know, you were having a lot of fun when you were writing that record. So I think it goes back to this whole idea that you let go kind of, and you were returning to like a very safe space and a very vulnerable place to just be you and do music the way you started out.
100%, because I can tell you right now, if I would have brought those lyrics into a studio with other writers and producers, they would have looked at me like, we're not doing that. You know? And it's like, well, why not? Like, why can't we just be playful and like point to things that we've done in the past? Because like everybody knows that I spy with my you know, and it's just like, but then it gets a little shady, like just another wolf in disguise. He's like, ooh, well, who's that about, you know? And so it makes it fun and playful, but also like you're trying to tell a story about something that happened and, you know, make it relatable. But yeah, I know for a fact they would have been like, no, you know, and that's because they're trying as writers to make a living. You have to have this stuff out on radio. You have to get it out, placed with other people, and stuff like that isn't necessarily commercially viable off the jump. And so you have to make it commercially viable.
Yeah, but I guess maybe I'm just thinking about myself as a one-person audience, but I would listen to that. That's like, I would listen to that.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of also what changed, is like making music that I would want to listen to.
Right.
And I think there's some, and I think I, you know, earlier on used that as a measure if the songs were good or not, is if I wanted to re-listen to them. There's some songs in the past cannot listen to. I know they're hot garbage. You know, I'm just like, nope. But then there's like, and again, like I go back to my 2022 record, my self-titled. Right. I will listen to that front to back. I think that is an amazing body of work. And I think it just came out in the wrong time. Right. And it's just like knowing that makes me feel a bit better.
Right. That it was ahead of its time.
I think it was ahead of its time. And it's just like, again, it is what I wanted to say and needed to say. But I just think where the world was at, we still weren't ready to go out and, you know, go to shows and like stuff like that. And so it just didn't hit. But that I can listen to front to back. And same with this new one. Like, that's how I know I did well for myself, and that's all that matters. Is if I can put it in and start from history and go to bold, did a good job.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so great. It's such a great body of work. There's so many things. To be honest, we wouldn't have the time to go into all of them because I've listened to it back to front, front to back. And part of the conversation I was going to have was this reference to Beyonce and Jay-Z. It shows up a few times, maybe twice, I think. And you have mentioned Beyonce twice here today. Unconsciously, I think.
Yeah.
You just brought them up. But tell me the influence of maybe both of them on you as growing up listening to music and all of that stuff.
It's interesting because it's also like, in a way, being used against me. Like, my mom's very traditional, and so like music is not a career you pursue, and so it's like, when do you want to be famous like Beyonce? Like, because she's like the pinnacle when you think of like superstar, pop world, whatever. And then when you actually look at her work ethic, you're just like, oh God, I'm tired just watching how she's like the epitome of perfection. Like, her craft is like her breathing air. Like, that's just what she does. And then the joke is like, well, Beyonce is 24 hours, get up and go work, like, but it's not necessarily in the music itself. And I think just the reference to, B and J and, the whole Bonnie and Clyde was like trying to find those cultural references to emote the feeling of like, we're in it till the end, kind of like ride or die. And so it was fun because I know people would know who those, without naming them, they would know, well, I know who those are. And it's like a little ear candy. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be artists that you look up to and that have spanned, multi-generational audiences, but, you just got to try to be yourself. You can't try to be any one of them because...
Yeah, for sure. And I think also I listened to, I think you were talking somewhere else where you had spoken about, I think initially when you were trying to promote music, and I think you may alluded to this fact that people didn't quite know what to do with your sound. And, the industry at the time, I think it's still pretty much the same, but kind of supported more pop country or country type stuff. But where would you say your sound has come from? Like, what has influenced you to gravitate to this old type soul, neo soul type stuff you do?
I mean, I love everything that comes out of the UK.
Okay.
I find that even if they're all in the pop genre, they're all individually themselves as artists, and none of them really sound like the other. Whereas in America, North America, the genre pop, you automatically know what that sounds like, and if one thing hits like a Britney Spears, you're gonna have 50 different copy carbons of that to try to have multiple hits and like follow that specific recipe. And I think Canada, being smaller and we get what America pushes up to us, has tried to follow, not tried, but they basically follow that same recipe. Like, well, if this guy with a guitar had a hit, we need 4 more of them. And then we can, have multiple hits, and we can have huge careers for these artists and this, that, and the third. But trying to do what I've done in Canada on a commercial level is difficult because they don't know what that is. Like, they're so used to country rock alternative that, if you're a black artist making anything but R&B, they're like, what is that? It's an alien. And then they're like, well, kryptonite, But then it's like, well, we need you to tour. We need you to get, sync placements would be nice. We need you to make this much money for it to be viable. We need this and get some awards. And then I come back and I'm like, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. This is what you can do with me. This is where I can go. My songs are playing in Walmart right now. Like, all of that. And they're still like, I can't see you, hear you. Like, nothing. So I'm just like, whatever, man. Like, they know what they know and they don't know what they don't know. And I think the biggest acts that have come out of Canada that have been super unique have gone to the States first or have utilized the internet to grow their own following, to like have their own careers. And I think that's important for our young and up and coming artists to realize is the old guard is old for a reason. And it's like now there's new ways of doing things. And even those that have been on labels for such a long time are now leaving those labels to run their own companies, you know, because they realize things have changed.
Right. Two questions from that. Do you, so with all of that stuff about the genre that you're in, do you feel misunderstood as an artist oftentimes?
Yes. But I'm also just at a point where I don't care if I'm understood anymore. I think there's always going to be, you know, what do you sound like? What can I reference you to for someone to get a grasp of? If they're not automatically listening and you have to explain, well, I sound like this, right? So it's like having those markers, there's always going to be that. But in terms of like feeling bad about it, I don't care anymore. It's just like, again, like even with the JUNOs, like I'm in the adult contemporary category. What does that even mean? It's just there wasn't anything between R&B and alternative. And so they have that category, right? But if we were in the UK, this would be a pop record, you know? And so it's just, how do you subjectively quantify a piece of work? It's just like, it is what it is. So I don't care anymore.
Okay. But you talked about, I see on your Spotify was Nuela Charles Music. What has been the business side of this? How has that been for you running like a business part of this operation?
Yeah, I think early on, so I put out a record in 2010 under my legal name. It was kind of my first foray into music. And it did well, but it was also, there was a German artist with the same name. And so this is at the beginning of iTunes and Spotify. And so my catalog automatically got sucked into her, 30-year career.
Wow.
And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if it's going to take me 10 minutes to figure this out where I can listen to this online, no one else is going to spend that time. So I automatically knew I need to rebrand and kind of set up my own company. And so that's kind of where the Nuela Charles came in initially, the brand, and then the corporation to kind of funnel all of the funding and royalties and all of the registrations through that, so it's an official entity. And that you learn as you go through, like I could have easily been sole proprietor and kept, that in terms of taxes and all of the business side, but I knew I wanted it to compete with what the labels are putting out. I wanted the highest of possible standards, and the business side, I wanted it to grow and thrive, and so I needed to set it up early.
Right. Okay. Do you think at all that all the places that you've lived find their way into your music at all? Do you think that's a factor unconsciously?
I think not necessarily the sounds,
right,
or the cultural identities, because they're very varied and very different. But I think it is that openness of understanding, being able to understand different cultures and respect them. And so it's more of the worldview that I've gained throughout the years of, understanding that not everybody lives the same way. Not everybody understands things in the same way or does things in the same way. And that doesn't mean they're less than. That's just, it's just different. So that should be respected. And so I think that allows me to approach everything with just more openness. And then in turn, just gratitude, and I think that's kind of how I've viewed things throughout the years. And also I think that's just, for me, it's a step ahead, like a leg up. That's my superpower, is being able to realize the world is big.
Right.
And I'm not the queen of it. You know, like I'm a part of it, and I should respect all aspects of it.
Right, right. And so when you are referred to as a Canadian artist, which is one identity, what does that mean to you?
I think it's just being part of this broader arts ecosystem. You know, I have profited a lot and gained a lot from being part of the Canadian system. And it definitely has helped me grow my career for sure. And so just knowing that, you know, I'm one of the few to hit basically the highest level of music you can in this country is kind of crazy. And I'm grateful for that. You know, I did tour in Switzerland for a little bit and try to get integrated into that culture in that industry, and was nominated for an award at one point and kind of did my rounds there. But it's also so different sonically that a lot of what I was putting out was deemed too American, like too North American. You know, it had that sound like they're like, this is American. And so that was also like something that I had to go against. And so that was a unique thing to comprehend at that time. But it's just all a learning experience. And I think just being known as Canadian is cool. But I always say like Canadian, Kenyan, Swiss. Like just understand like there's levels to this.
Oh, your pop culture
I know.
references. Come on.
Listen, I grew up on TRL, MTV,
Come on.
Much Music. Like that is, you know, in my veins. After school, that and Disney Channel and Nickelodeon Club. Or no, Disney Club.
Drip, drip,
What was it
drip.
called? Yeah, the Disney. Oh, Mickey Mouse Club.
Mickey Mouse Club with
MICKYMOUSC.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about recognition now versus reality. I think we touched upon this. The JUNO. First of all, let's back up, and I should say, congratulations on your nomination.
Oh, thank you.
I have seen videos you posted, a really touching video about, you know, going through that process and getting to this point where you're nominated again, and, you know, just encouraging people to, you know, to stay on the grind and to keep on dreaming. But where were you when you learned about your nomination, and what does this particular JUNO mean to you, considering all that you've had to go through putting this project together?
I was at work. And then this year they did it different. Like in prior years, they would have an event in Toronto where your PR would kind of they would kind of be notified that you're nominated. So they would say, hey, you should probably come to this thing.
Right.
You know, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm nominated this year. But this year they totally didn't have that event, and they just had a few pre-announcements, and then they announced all the nominations together online. And so I was at work when I clicked the link, and I was like, oh my God. And so I kind of just like yelled it out to everybody, and they're like, what? So that was a cool experience to share that with, you know, people. But I called last year my nonchalant year. I was like, I'm just going to put this music, after what I experienced in 2022 with the budget, the release plans, the multi-tiered PR, all of that. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to put it out single, have some like home shot videos, whatever, make one music video if I get funding.
For life, I think.
For life, yeah. And then the rest of it was just emailing radio stations who've played me before, sending it out through like Submit Hub and stuff like that. Just like whatever. I'm like, didn't expect anything. I'm like, I love the music. If you love it, cool. If you don't, cool. So to get the nominations, I was like, wow, they must have really listened.
right.
You know, they must have really like listened to the record and deemed it worthy, you know, because that's no joke, you know. So that was really cool for me. But at the end of the day, too, like I was a guest lecturer at McEwen the other day. I was kind of telling them the process of the JUNOs and how everything happens. I was like, it's all fun and it's all like amazing, but it doesn't really mean anything, you know? Like in the grand scheme of life, it is just another thing that you get to be a part of, and it's cool, but it's not going to change your life overnight. It's not going to like make you a better person or, you know, better than that artist over there. Like, no, we're just celebrating art. It's subjective. Have a good time. Eat the food. Like, you know? And I think going into it, like, legit, going into it with that mindset, you know, now knowing what I know makes it less pressurized. It's just fun. My first year, I knew for a fact I would have just shown up, ate the dinner, and gone home if I didn't hire PR. And so the first thing I did was like contact a PR company. I was like, hey, I was just nominated for this JUNO. Like, this is my first one. Do you want to help me? They're like, yes, thank you for calling. And so that, you know, because I understood the business of it too. Right. And at that point, I was really pursuing the commercial side of things, and I wanted to grow and, you know, raise my profile. So I knew I needed that. Mm-hmm. But I know me. I'm like, where's the fruit? Like, free dinner, parties, after parties, concert, holla. Like, it's fun, you know? And so you enjoy the spoils of your work. But now, fourth in, I'm like, thank you. I'm super grateful. I hope I win, like, as anyone. Like, that would be amazing. But it's just another, you know, it's an achievement, and I'm looking forward to the next.
We hope you win too.
Thank you.
It'd be great.
It's so cool.
It'd be great.
So cool.
It'd be great. We're rooting for you.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. You explain it that way. You spoke about what has changed between that first nomination and now. So the question would be, how has longevity changed the way you view success?
I think, you know, it definitely has changed, but I think it's, for me, just if I have the ability to keep making music in whatever form that is, like, I might decide tomorrow that I want to do another full album with the whole campaign and everything, and I want to give it another go. But I might also just want to, you know, nonchalant my way through another couple of years while I really figure out what I want. But it's just, I'm not necessarily seeking anything in this moment. I just want peace. And just, like, I've gone through so much, I guess it's just like stress trying to keep up. And I think once you're in that hamster wheel of, oh, I need to put out a record, I need to tour, I need to make a video, I need to do this press and that press and talk to this person, it gets very lonely because you're constantly giving, and you're not refueling yourself, right? And so it's like, I got to a point where there's nothing left to give of myself, and I need to go recharge. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in that space of, like, realizing that I can recharge and give, but there's got to be that refueling as well. And I'm more cognizant of that, whereas before it was like, let's go. So that's, I think, what success is being just able to, you know, do it at my own pace. Mm-hmm. And not feel like I'm behind or missing out or a failure because I'm not doing it like that person over there. Right. It's like putting the blinders on, being like, I'm good, you know, like, keep going, you know, so.
Right. Okay, I think one of the songs that I want you to tell me about Thank You. Mm-hmm. Typically, when a thank you song is put on an album, on an appreciation song, it'd be the last song, but you put that song before Bold. But I want to know who Thank You is to, and I really just, I love it. So
yeah, I mean, it's like it was for my parents basically, okay. Right? And I didn't intend, I think, to do that. But I also didn't want it to be cheesy when I decided that it was going to be like a thank you.
And is this the first time you're doing that kind of stuff on any project of yours?
Yeah, I think it was the first time that it's that pointed, or that, like, lyrically specific in some instances. But then I also knew, like, in the back of my mind, this will be great for sync. This will be great for, you know, film and television. So it was that double side to it where it's like, I haven't heard anything like this recently, so why not me be the one to write it? But yeah, that one was fun. Like, it also was a bit more gospel heavy, and I loved, growing up listening to that, and now I'm like, oh, now I have an excuse to incorporate it into my record. But I also didn't want it to end on that because I knew Bold has had such a kind of deeper, not deeper meaning, but more on the theme that I wanted to end with,
Right.
like leaving my mark. And I felt it was a better ending to the overall project. But yeah, at some point you just gotta, you can go back and forth on set list and the order forever. So I was just like, this is, after listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is good.
Right.
Because I could be like, oh no, this needs to go there, and then it'll never come out. But like,
2 years from now, you still
yeah.
be working.
Oh, and I know people who their record is still. I'm like, remember that song you played me 10 years ago that is a hit that you still haven't put out?
Oh my.
To this day, I'm like, huh? You're working on new music. What about? He's like, oh, I know. He's like, yeah. But.
No, I don't know where to begin. I think the project itself just has all of this pockets, like I was saying, with was a name and all of this really interesting stuff that pops up. I think, was it live? There's one that feels like a DJ just steps out from somewhere. I was just mixing like towards the end of the song, and I just found those attention to detail and just on unmasking stuff as you listen takes you through an experience and all of that stuff. I think it was very well done, Nuela.
Oh, thank you.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's been rewarded clearly with the nomination, and we hope you win. I want to go back to what you just said. You touched upon sync just now. I want to find out how that influences. Does it influence how you write? And do you think that's a good thing if you're thinking about sync when you're writing music?
I think I always am, even like with my own stuff, I'm always like, oh, what is the visual for this? How could this be kind of put to film? Or what would the scene look like for this movie that I'm writing, like in my head? Like every song is its own little movie. But I don't necessarily write for sync because you can trap yourself really easily, because what is used today will probably not be used tomorrow. Like it's such a quick moving kind of landscape of what's hot and what's not, that really the song either serves the scene or it doesn't. And so that's when it comes back to just making authentic music and having themes that resonate worldwide, for everyone. So if I'm writing about my dog, like that'll probably only work in like a cartoon about a dog. But if I'm writing about like my love for this creature, that could be attributed to any kind of scene. So it's just like little things I am thinking about, and like the sonic world of it. Like Life, I think, is such a syncable song, just from like cool like trailers that I've heard and cool intros to shows that I'm like, that could be that, but I'm not necessarily specifically writing for it, because then I know it's just a trap. And I've been told, like, even when we go into sessions specifically for sync, they'll have a brief, like, we want you to write something for this scary scene in this TV show about these kids and the mystery and all that stuff. But we don't want you to write about, like, just the feeling.
Right.
But don't be too specific. And then you're like, well, what do you mean? Like, I was literally in a session. I was hired. We had to replace a Pink song because, it was like, I'm running, or I'm troubled. So they wanted that feeling, but they couldn't afford her song.
Right.
So we were brought in to rewrite something, but they're like, but we don't want that, but we want that.
But not
but
quite
don't
that.
do that.
Yeah.
And so I had 2 sessions where we didn't do that, but tried to do it, but not. My 3rd session, the producer's like, no, they just say they don't want it, but they want it. So we did something like that. and at the end they scrapped everything and just put orchestral music in it. So you're like, you never know what they want,
Right.
but
Right.
it's just trying to make real music that emotes some kind of emotion, but yeah, it is what it is.
Right. In response to your nomination, you are having a gig here in the city. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, again, nonchalant. I didn't have any shows around the album release, didn't really do the whole party thing. So when the announcement from the nomination came, I was like, man, I should probably play this sucker live. So I was like, okay. So I think, we're doing it March 13th at 9910. And it'll be fun. It will play the songs for the first time and just celebrate the nomination and just have people come out again to listen to the music. And for me, it'll just be a good time. I'm excited, scared, but it'll be good. But yeah, like it'll be a nice time. I think a lot of artists, playing live is that one thing that they love to do, and I think during the process I fell out of love with it because it just became more work. But now it's like, this is just gonna be fun, and that's all it needs to be.
Right. And would this be the first time that you, beside the jazz stuff that happened last night, would be the first time like you're doing a major show?
Yeah, in a long time. So first time that's like me putting it on. So that in of itself will be fun, but yeah, just playing, celebrating, hoping people come. Like tickets have been selling really good, so I'm excited. But yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations again on the remarkable album. I think the note I'd love for us to end, since you are this very almost like a Yoda type person in my wisdom. You're like I think it'd be great to we've spoken a lot today about ethos and philosophy and how you kind of see the world, but yeah, if you were to give some sage advice to upcoming artists or anybody in general about dreams, about chasing it, about what success means and all of that, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, if I could go back, I always say, like, try to decide early on what kind of artist you want to be or what career you want to have and reconcile with that, because everyone is like, oh, I want to be a musician because I want to be famous and I want to be a rock star and I want to tour. And it's like, well, maybe you just want to be able to pay, buy a house, have a good living, stay in your hometown, whatever. But I think deciding that early on will help create realistic expectations going into it, and then learn everything you can once you've made that decision, whether it is to go into the business side, learn everything you can about the business and understand it's a business, because that will allow you to realize that people's response to you and what you're putting out is not personal. It is all just about business, and if they can envision what you do to have monetary success. And that will change your perspective like that, because if you're going in, it's like, I just want to make art and I just want to be, the best artist, but I want to be a superstar. Well, I'm sorry, dear, but being a superstar and just doing the best art are two separate things. And being able to understand that early on will have you way ahead of the rest of the game. And then understand that the power is in you. You control the narrative. You control your music. Make sure you don't lose sight of that. Like, you don't need other people. Like, yes, we all need help, but it's like starts and ends with you. And so as the artist, don't lose that control and don't feel like you need to give it away to succeed. Because a lot of people have given away their control and are working at cafes. It is like the industry can be such a mental game that if you, are just strong in your own convictions and believe what you're doing, you'll win, and at the end of the day, you have to love it or it's not worth it. So I hope that can encourage somebody. But yeah, I think if you understand who you are and what you want to do, you'll succeed either way.
That's a great note.
Yay.
That's perfect pitch.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
No, you have been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Wishing you success, and I hope we get you again soon. Wishing you success in Hamilton, and yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. Yay. Yay. Yay. Thank you so much. That's a wrap.